I want to show you how to produce a show for Florida Focus, and this example includes two 50-second packages. So the one that I'm going to work on right now is November 15th, and it includes two packages, the infrastructure package from Victoria and the Beach Robot package from Alice. So the first thing I did was go into our Box account, and I pulled up both of the scripts. So I typed in the slug, which is infrastructure, in Victoria's story here. And then I went into Box and I found Alice's as well. And all I did was just copy and paste both of those inside of a new doc here, inside of our show scripts folder. I just created a new Word doc online document, and I just named it the date of the show is going to air. So that's November 15th, and I just put show script here. So all I've done so far is paste these two package scripts with the anchor, toss, and tag into this script. And this is just a note for myself that these are the two stories from this schedule. That way I remember, which one's supposed to go in what order. So all I've done is I've pasted this, and I wrote the package TRT. I just confirmed that this was the correct total runtime for the package, and I did the same one for this one. This total runtime is 54 seconds, and both of the reporters included an anchor tag, and as the producer I'm going to decide if we want the anchor tags, if we have enough time to include the anchor tags. So the next thing I'm going to do here is create a rundown. So this is our rundown folder, and I'm going to create new let's see here, Excel spreadsheet, and that's going to be the date. So 11/15/21, and that's in our rundown folder here. So this will launch Excel online, and that means that we can all work together on this at the same time. And so I'm going to show you like a different one as an example, one that's already been done. So you can see, kind of a template. This one was like a really short one. You can open up some other ones and see some other examples of different rundowns that we've worked on. So all of these here are really similar. They have an anchor in them. So these are ones that we're still working on. Let's see here if we can pull up some of these. Like here's another example. If you want to, you can copy and paste one of these into your rundown. Usually I make a rundown from scratch, and then I kind of just copy and paste and use these kind of as a template because it's already formatted, and that's a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The first thing you need to know about copying and pasting from Excel Online is you actually have to open it. You can't do it through the preview window. So this preview window won't copy and paste things correctly. So you actually have to hit the open button. So now that I've hit the open button, I'm just going to like copy and paste this because this show is very similar to the show that we're about to produce because it has two about 50-second packages. So I just highlighted that, and I'm hitting Command C or Control C if you're on a PC. And I'm going to go back into the rundown that I created here, and I'm just going to hit Command V for paste, or you could hit Control V if you're on a Windows. If the column here is too narrow, it'll show up as those little hashtag marks. So I'm just going to adjust this, make my slug a little wider. My page numbers don't have to be that wide, and just kind of adjust them here. So what I'm going to do first is take a look at the stories that we have. My infrastructure story is going to be first. Most of the time when you produce a show, you're going to start on a one shot because the anchor is going to say hello, and that's going to be a studio mid shot in the virtual set. And then we want a stinger to get us from the one shot to the OTS shot so that it kind of covers what would be an anchor turn if we had a 2-camera shoot in the studio. Since we're kind of faking it with a virtual set in this instance, we're just using that stinger to kind of cover that so that the audience doesn't really notice. So that's most of the time that's going to happen, but let's go ahead and look at our script to see what we're going to be doing here. And then I'm also going to make sure that I look inside of the folder for the infrastructure story and make sure that we have a stinger or OTS. And so I just search infrastructure, and let's just go right to her folder here. So she has a stinger here and an OTS. So I would normally go ahead and, as the producer, also download this. And so I've watched it, and I can tell, like, okay, great, this is spelled correctly and all of that. The other thing I want to do, though, is make sure that when I've downloaded them, that I can ensure that they are, the correct frame rate and all of that. So in this instance, it's 1920 by 1080. I'd also put it into Premiere Pro and make sure it's 29.97 frames per second. But we can skip that part for now. So at least I know, yes, there is a stinger, and I can also tell the duration of the stinger. In this instance, it could animate off if we want it to. It doesn't need to. Sometimes there are stingers that are longer, and so I need to put more script under the stinger. But in this case, it's like a pretty standard stinger. So I'm just going to close out this one, because this is the actual show script that we're working on. So at the top, we have the show script here, but let's just go ahead and put 11, 15, 21 show script. And most of your shows are going to start with a standard open unless you created a special open. And in this case, we're just going to do a regular standard open. And then that's the regular standard open music, and the standard open is 6 seconds long. Then the anchor, and in this case, we'll go ahead and check our calendar, and we'll see who the anchor is scheduled to be for this show. And that's Courtney Patterson. So I'm going to write Courtney's name right here. That's going to be the anchor. And she's going to say, hello, welcome to Florida Focus. I'm Courtney Patterson. And this is a normal thing that happens here. If you see that these lines aren't single spaced, that can be really frustrating if somebody's trying to work out of a teleprompter. So it's important that we go over here and adjust the line spacing. You never, ever, 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 ever want to have a double-spaced script. That is a huge red flag if hiring managers see that you double-space your scripts, because that can cause a big problem during a live show. You never, ever, 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 ever want to double-space your scripts. You want to make sure that those are single-spaced. So hello, welcome to Florida Focus. I'm Courtney Patterson. And then that's going to be on the one-shot studio mid. We could use the stinger to get us from her hello into the toss of the package. So let's go ahead and put the stinger here. And then I'm going to put editor note for the show editor, or for, if we were to do this in a studio, we would want to make sure that all of that was linked here. This is the stinger. We have 2 versions of the stinger. So there should be one as an MXF file. And that's for the show editor. But if this was going to be produced inside of a TV studio control room, then you'd want the MP4. So depending on if you're doing this as a show edit, which in this case we are, we're going to do that as the MXF. If we're going to be doing this in a control room, you would just copy the MP4. So that way whoever's loading the switcher or whatever, they will have the right format. So in this instance, I know that it's going to be edited in post. So I'm going to put this link here. That way it's really easy for the editor to know which stinger we want them to use. And during the stinger, I'm going to have Courtney read, the COVID-19 pandemic led to a huge boom in remote working. And then we're going to go to the OTS, and I'm going to do the same thing for the show editor. And I'm going to paste the OTS graphic here, and that's this one. So I'm going to go ahead and create the shared URL. One big thing that's important, it is not this URL. It's not this one at the top. It's this one. It's a shared URL. Those are different things. So it's really important that you copy the correct URL. So then we're just going to paste that URL there, so that way the editor knows which OTS we're going to have. Or if this is in a control room, it would be, the graphics operator or somebody else would be putting that into the switcher or the graphics computer or whatever station you're working at. So the next part, the anchor will read, according to an Owl Lab survey, remote workers save 40 minutes a day not commuting to work. Reporter Victoria Crosdale says, well, this is saving people a lot of time. This could actually cost you money. And then we just go to the package command. So this next part here, you want to make sure that the editor has the correct package that has been approved. I've already watched through this, so I know that this is ready to go. These two are the same thing. So again, since this is going to be for a show editor, I'm going to give him an MXF file. If this were in the control room, it would be the MP4 file. So now I'm going to paste this here. As the producer, you would make sure to watch this first, which I've done. Look for spelling, look for any black holes, flashes, anything that the reporter may need to fix. In this instance, we've already finished that step, so I just want to move on to the next step here, which is the actual rundown and show script formatting. So I want to make sure that my rundown and my script are exactly alike. That's really important. So the rundown here, of course, this is the one that we had pasted as an example before. This slug is infrastructure. And then I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that same thing there. And in this instance, I am doing the exact same thing. I'm going to go from a one-shot studio main, I'm going to go to a stinger, then I'm going to do an OTS, then I am going to go into a package. But I do want to check real quick to see, like, is this package something I want boxes for? So in this instance, we do have a stand-up at the beginning, but this stand-up was a little different. So she produced it to be like a really creative, cool intro stand-up. So that wouldn't really make sense in boxes, because boxes are supposed to be like look lives. It's supposed to be something that looks like you're actually tossing to a live reporter. And so this is a fantastic package open. I love these stand-ups. It's great, but it's not suitable for boxes. Sometimes you'll see like, okay, maybe we do boxes on the back end. And that's totally fine. In this instance, you know, we could do boxes on the back end. We would just need to make sure to have Victoria put some extra pad here, because it ends pretty abruptly. So if we want time to have the anchor say, thanks so much, Victoria, we could put boxes on the back end. That is an option that you could use. For now, let's just go forward with like a straight forward package. And I'm going to delete this box thing on the end here by right-clicking delete rows. So these are things I have to update because this is information from before. So Courtney is the anchor in this instance. So if I copy and paste that here, because I had a different background color here, it's going to bring that background color with. So you could go here and say no fill or white or whatever for this one. And then you could just paste that. Oh, and then this is not Courtney. This infrastructure package is Victoria, so we'll put Victoria there. And then this next part that we're going to work on will be Courtney anchoring. So let's move forward, and by double checking, this package just kind of happens to be exactly 1250 also. But this toss, I think, is a little longer. We have the show open here. The show open is 6 seconds, exactly like what we did here. This show open is 6 seconds. And so we put 6 seconds over here on our open slot. That's the standard time. If you were to do a special open, you'd have to change that. Our hello with Courtney is standard. Hello, welcome to Florida Focus. I'm Courtney Patterson. That takes about 3 seconds. And then we're going to time how much time we think it's going to take Courtney to read the toss. So let's go ahead and open a timer on Google or on your phone. And we're going to just read. We've already have a default time in for the hello. We're just going to read the rest to get an estimation there. And Courtney reads a little faster than I do, so I'm going to try to read a little faster so that my estimation is a little bit more accurate. Whoops, let me see that. I had a little delay there. According to an, oh, no, I messed it up. Let's try it again. Okay, I'm starting here. The COVID-19 pandemic during the singer. The COVID-19 pandemic led to a huge boom in remote working. According to an Owl Lab survey, remote workers save 40 minutes a day not commuting to work. Reporter Victoria Crosdale says, while this is saving people a lot of time, this could actually cost you money. I didn't read it fast enough. I mean, I read at my speed, but I didn't really read it as fast as I know Courtney reads. And it's not bad or good to read faster or slower. It's just that we all have our own natural pace. So just because I've worked with Courtney a bunch, I know that like my 16-second read is probably her 14 or maybe even 13-second read. So let's go ahead and put 14 in for that. And this is just an estimation. So right now I have it in as 19 or as 9, and I'm going to change that middle part to 14. So in this estimated time column, I just want to explain real quick that because we're using Excel, not iNews or ENPS, which is a content management system that news stations work with, I'm going to use this time function to basically find out how long our show is. So this total number at the bottom has to add up to 230. And so if we're heavy, which means we're over 230, then we need to cut something. And so we're already looking to probably cut the tags, but we want to finish filling out the rundown before we make any of these adjustments. And if you just copy and paste one of my rundowns from before, it's a lot easier, but I will show you how we get this total here at the end. So the next story we were working on is the beach robot story. So let's just make sure that we have the exact slug, and we'll come back to this here later and probably kill this, probably kill the tag for time. So Bebot Beach Robot, and we want to make sure that it is the exact same language, the exact same spelling that we've used consistently throughout. If you paste it up here, then it'll paste that same formatting. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this down here. And the last show that I copied over had a push to the USF newsroom, which is great. I don't know that we're going to have time for that, but let's go ahead and just check filling in the rest of this stuff first. So this is Courtney. I'm going to put Courtney here, and this is Alice's package. And let's go ahead and check out our toss. So I'm going to go back here, and scientists predict that plastic could outweigh fish by 2050. That's according to a World Economic Forum study. Reporter Alice Barlow shows us how a new eco-friendly robot is keeping plastic off our beaches. And originally we had written that as an OTS first and a stinger second. And that just depends on what the stinger text says or what the stinger and OTS look like, because sometimes it makes sense to have the stinger first. Sometimes it makes sense to have the stinger second. And so I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at this language that we're using on the stinger to ensure that it's appropriate that the stinger is going second. So this is what the stinger looks like. Polluted beaches. Okay. So sometimes our stinger, we'd want our stinger to have like plastic off our beaches or eco-friendly robot or something that the anchor is actually saying. So in this instance, that's okay. We don't really have that language anywhere here. So in the future, we would want to make sure that the stinger matches the toss, or we would rewrite the toss to make sure that it matches. But it's close enough, so I think it's okay. And I think it makes sense that that we start with the OTS first and put the stinger second in this instance. So let's go down here, and we'll just swap the order of this. So we'll put the lead in first, and that is going to be the OTS, and it's going to be on OTS L, which means that the OTS graphic is going to be on the left side of the screen, and then we're going to do a stinger voiceover directly into the package. So we're just going to go ahead and time how much time it takes us to read this toss. Let's go ahead and reset our timer and try this again. Scientists predict that plastics will outweigh fish by 2050. That's according to a World Economic Forum study. Reporter Alice Barlow shows us how a new eco-friendly robot is keeping plastic off our beaches. So that's, for me, 12, almost 13, but for Courtney, that's probably going to be 11, maybe, because she reads a little faster than me. So it happened to be 11 last time, so that worked out really well here. And then Alice's package is 54 seconds. Right now I'm looking at our total runtime and it's about 2:35, so we're 5 seconds heavy. Our close, when we had copied it over from a previous show, was 8 seconds. It can be anywhere from 3 to 10. So, usually our goodbye is, we can call it 3. Sometimes it's 4. If it's Courtney reading, it's probably 3. If it's Hannah, maybe it's 4. So we don't really have time for, let's see, we could have time for our tag. So if you want to see like what happens if our close is 4 seconds, well, then we do have this 5 seconds here, this extra 5 seconds here. But if we were to cut this out, let's say we just deleted that, and our close was the longest close we could make it 9-10 seconds, then we'd be right at 2:30. So what I want to do is, if this is going to be edited in post, which in this case it is, I'm going to perhaps keep one of the tags, and then the show editor can decide whether they want to keep that or not, depending for time. So let's see here. I had actually done this one before, so I'm just kind of showing you what I had done. I had already copied and pasted the toss and everything here into a teleprompter script that I'd emailed the anchor. And so I already have Courtney reading this. For more information on how to keep our Hillsborough beaches clean, visit Tampa Bay Beautiful's website. So we could include that if we wanted to, and then if if there's no time, we'll just write a note for our show editor, kill the tag in the second story for time. And so in that case, we don't really need to also have that anchor toss. So let's delete the first anchor toss. And now we're looking really good. So if we keep this one, that's fine. And then let's see. Thanks for watching Florida Focus. Have a great evening. And then we're going to go into a standard close. Sometimes our close is not standard. Sometimes it's depending on the show, but in this instance, it's just a normal close. And that's, in this instance, I mean, it could be anywhere from 3 to 10. We'll probably end up killing the tag, but just in case, we can leave it there. Let's close that one. Just in case we could leave it there, for the show editor. And in that case, it makes sense just to do the tag on the studio mid shot. So instead of 3 seconds for the tag and goodbye, we would time this out and say, let's see how much time that takes to read. For more information on how to keep our Hillsborough beaches clean, visit the Tampa Bay Beautiful's website. Thanks for watching Florida Focus. Have a great evening. Okay, so let's say that's about 8 seconds. So instead of having a long close, we'll just have a long tag and goodbye. And since this is 35 seconds heavy, it'll leave our close at about 4 seconds. And then we're perfect at 2:30. So I'm going to write a little note to the editor here. You could write it anywhere here. Note to editor. You can kill the tag on page 11, which is this page right here. It's in the goodbye for time, and just do the goodbye if you want. Okay, good. And that's our rundown. So the next thing we need to do is check our pages, which I just wrote page 11, but the thing is that we had killed some of these other pages earlier. So I want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I just want to make sure that I was referring to the correct page. So really, I should have said 9, not 10. So page 9, we go off of this column, not this one on the left. And page numbers is exactly how everyone communicates when they're communicating for TV news. Everyone talks in page numbers. In this instance, we have our, you can kill the tag on page 9 if you want, depending on how much time everything takes. We have our total script here, and all of these here are correct. The OTS, the stinger, the package URL, and I had already done this for the anchor. And that makes it a little bit easier for the anchor to see, what they're going to be recording. So hopefully this makes sense. The next thing you want to do is credits. So our anchor is Courtney Patterson. We have 2 reporters. One is Victoria Crosdale, and then the other one is Alice Barlow. And in this instance, our show editor will be David Rose. Faculty advisors, Janetti Branson and Wayne Garcia. And then they will add, the web team will add, web editor, and all that kind of stuff there. But we didn't have any other credits on these shows. Sometimes you'll have a videographer, or you'll have several people working on something at once. But, so this is kind of a short credits list. But they will just copy and paste this whole thing. And so it's important that everything is spelled correctly and it's correct and all of that. And that's it. So hopefully that makes sense. As soon as this is ready to go, we would go into our, calendar here and just write on this right side here that it is ready for the show editor. And so this one is done. So we're no longer waiting for this because I had combined some packages from different assignments. Okay, so that's it. So ready for show editor. Usually I would say ready for anchor to record, but we'd already recorded that one. So I just wanted to explain that. So normally you'd say ready for anchor to record, you send it to your anchor, and then whenever the anchor sends it back in, you'd make sure the show editor got it. And another thing I was putting in here is that it is recycling day. So that's good for the web editor to know so that they can boost their SEO. The next thing I'm going to do is add my teases from my reporters here, and whenever the show editor is done editing, we'll have the URL for YouTube. So we're almost done. I'm just going to go into this folder here. Let's do infrastructure. We'll grab the tease. And I've already watched this and confirmed that it is good to go. So that's tease number 1. And then I'm going to go into Bbot. And we have our tease here. Shared URL. And we're going to put that here. This is for the web team. So when they promote the show on social media, they'll have 2 promotions. And that's it. So hopefully that makes sense. The last thing I wanted to show you, in case you are building this from scratch, the way that we get this 230 to add up to our actual show time is by using this formula where you put the equal sign and then you type the word sum, S-U-M, as in the, add it all together. And then you would click on the first one, which in most cases is going to be this here, G2. And then you click and just drag down until you get to the last item in your show. And then you do this close parentheses thing here. And when you hit enter, you get the total runtime. So let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully that makes sense. And have fun producing.